Hello, this is Thomas Laurie, and today we will be discussing the edTPA Secondary History, Social Science, Introduction, and Glossary. So the beginning thing that I liked about this document was that it's interactive. I can click on this link here and it'll go right to the introduction. The introduction starts off by discussing the purpose of why we're performing this edTPA. And it talks about it's just really just a measure of the novice teachers to see if they're ready to be in the classroom. Next, it kind of goes into what the overview of the assessment is, so what we're going to be doing in this edTPA. First off, we're going to be planning out our lesson plan. Next, we're going to be performing the lesson plan, followed by assessing how we did in that lesson plan. For the lesson plan, we're going to do 3 to 5 consecutive history, social science lessons, or 3 to 5 hours of connected instruction. It really just depends on what type of classroom we're in at that point. We also need to make sure that when we're performing these lessons that we have to cover additional, or while we're planning and performing these lessons, we have to cover state and national content standards that are appropriate. And those things will just make sure that we're providing opportunities for students to use facts, concepts, skills, inquiry, interpretation, and analysis to build and support arguments and conclusions about historical events, topic, theme, or a social studies phenomenon. Next, the introduction really goes into a cycle of how to be an effective teacher, and it's really just kind of covers what we talked about earlier here with the overview of the assessment, so what we're going to be doing. So we're going to plan out the lesson and take the time to do that, make sure we're using academic language, and then we're going to perform and do the instruction. We want to make sure that we're create a positive and effective learning environment, and it just helps to create deeper thinking. Next, we're going to go and assess how we did in our instruction. So it's kind of going in a circular form here, if you can see. We want to make sure that we're using academic language to analyze how we did in the instruction. And then that way we can learn how we can do better next time and keep growing as a teacher, just like we want our students to keep growing as students. Next, it kind of goes into how we should be looking at how we've done in this task. It kind of talks about the artifacts and commentaries. Artifacts are going to be more of the physical work that the students have done and that I've done in planning out the lesson and performing the lesson. And then so like the tests that they've taken, whether the videos that I've put out there, and then the commentary is going to be more of just describing how those artifacts went, how the learning has been going on. We're just going to analyze and more describe why and explain the rationale behind our choices. Next, the introduction goes into the structure of the handbook. So what's going to be throughout this whole edTPA handbook. So what do I need to think about? What do I need to do? What do I need to write? And then how will the evidence of my teaching practice be assessed? And then after that, it goes into a little bit more detail of what each step for performing this edTPA is going to be. So it goes into the planning right here and all the details of what goes into the planning and what we need to have in that planning. Then it goes into the task and the actual instruction itself and describes a little bit what to do, what to submit, and then the evaluation rubrics. And then finally it goes into assessing and how the students did. So that's going to be it for the introduction. Now what I like is that, like we said, we can just click on this down here and go to the glossary and finish up real quickly with the glossary and what goes into the glossary. So really it's just kind of an overview of all the academic language and just explains in more detail about what they're trying to say and the meaning of the words itself. So it's really vocabulary, discourse, the syntax, the language supports, all of that good stuff. And it just helps us teachers understand what we're talking about. So that's going to be kind of the overview of the introduction and the glossary for the edTPA, social science, and history. Thank you guys for your time.